Okay. So this lesson we're looking at overtime and special allowances. So your learning intention is to calculate payments for overtime rates, special allowances and casual work. Okay, so last exercise we were looking at things that were more associated with salaries. What we're looking at today is more common with wages. Okay, so if you're on a salary, we mentioned in the first lesson, you generally don't earn overtime, okay, or any special extras. Your income is a set payment. With a wage, one of the benefits is that you have the opportunity to earn extra money, okay? And this is how a very common way of doing so. All right, so overtime rates apply when employees work beyond the normal working days. Payment for overtime is usually more than the normal pay rate. For example, a person whose normal pay rate is $10 an hour would receive $20 an hour if they were paid overtime at double time. Another common rate is time and a half. So it is normal pay multiplied by 1.5. So if you were on $10 an hour usually and you're earning 1.5 times pay or time and a half pay, you'd get $15 an hour. Okay, so over time you might get that because you worked a weekend. So again, all depends on your employer and what package they have. But some employers might on a Sunday offer you double time, on a Saturday time and a half. They might say Saturdays aren't any extra, it's normal. You might also get sometimes during the week if you work past a certain hour. So if you work after 6 o'clock, you might then earn time and a half pay or whatever it might be. Okay, so those incentives are always there and they're not set for any, like your employer decides on those. It's part of the award contract that they are a part of. But yeah, we need to be able to calculate all different sorts. Now, they will always specify in the question what type of overtime you're applying, and obviously they'll tell you the hours and things like that you're applying it to. So you just need to be able to apply it to a whole different range, but there's no set standard. Okay, so let's have a look at this this example. It says John works for a building construction company. Find John's wage during a week in which he works 40 hours at the normal rate of $16 an hour, 3 hours at time and a half rates, and 1 hour at double time rates. Now you can do all of this in one step, or you can break it up into the three, so you can work out the normal rates, you can work out time and a half, or work out double. The benefit of doing it all in one step is that it all goes into the calculator once, and you're not rounding more than once, okay, if it does involve rounding. So let's do it all together, but I'll break it up with brackets so you can see what is what. So he's doing 40 hours at the normal rate of $16 an hour. So 40 times 16, that's his normal rate, okay? Then you're going to add that to he's doing 3 hours at time and a half rate. So 3 times 1.5, and you still need to use his hourly rate of $16. So multiply that by 16. Okay, and then we've got 1 hour at double time. So 1 hour, double time, so times it by 2. And the rate is still 16. Because you're multiplying, it doesn't matter what order you're putting the numbers in the brackets. It all comes out the same. Okay? So if you put all of that into a calculator, you can do it all in one step, as I said. Or if you prefer to break things up, you could have broken it up. But you should get a total of 744. And that's what he gets for the week. Okay? All right. Moving on to the next, which is special allowances. So employees receive an allowance if they work under difficult or dangerous conditions, such as wet weather, extreme temperatures, confined spaces, or isolated areas. So that probably would be more common with a trade, not so much like retail jobs that you do. Allowances are also paid when an employer has an expense related to their type of work, such as work uniform, meals, travel, or tools. So if you do have a casual job, if you have a look at your pay slip, a lot of them will have an allowance for laundry or uniform. It's very small, but it will be there, okay? All right, so as a casual worker, there are obviously advantages and disadvantages. The advantages are that your working hours are flexible, so you can go to your boss and say, hey, listen, I've got the exams coming up. I can only work 4 hours this week. I can't do my usual 3 shifts. And they will work around it because you're on a flexible timetable. So basically, they'll always would start with their full-timers and part-timers who are on permanent hours. They put them in and they slot in the differences with the casuals where they need extra backup or support depending on what is involved in a shift. Okay, as a casual worker, your hourly rate is generally higher than what a part-time or a full-time worker is. The reason for that is you don't get any sick pay or holiday pay, so that 17.5%, you don't get that. You don't get 4 hours off a year, for example, to go on holidays. If you're sick, you just don't get paid if you call in sick, okay? But they make up with that with you a little bit extra per hour. You can very easily lose your job when you're not needed. They don't have to do anything. They can just say, listen, we've got too many people. We're getting rid of you as a casual. Your pay might not include superannuation depending on who you work for and what your contract is. Okay, but basically you're the flexible one at work. So you're the first to go, but you can also request extra shifts, make more money, make less money depending on your needs. Okay? All right, let's have a look at this example. So it says Milan is employed on a casual basis for a fast food company whose rate of pay is $15 per hour plus time and a half on a Saturday and double time on a Sunday. Last week, Milan worked from 10:30 till 2:30 on Thursday, from 9:30 until 2 on Saturday, and 12 till 4 on Sunday. How much did he earn? Okay, so he hasn't got any special allowances, but he does have some overtime. So first thing we need to do is work out how many hours he's worked for each. So from 10:30 to 2:30, how many hours is that? Okay, so this is 4 hours. I'll just write that here. So that's his first one. From Thursday, from 9:30 to 2, how many hours is that? 4.5 hours. And 12 to 4 on Sunday is? 4 hours. So like the last question, you can do it all in one step, or we can break it up. But I'm going to do it in one step. I'm just going to use brackets to break it up. So first, so his hourly rate is $15 and he's done 4 hours at the normal rate. If it doesn't specify, you assume it's a normal rate. So 4 times $15, that's what he did on Thursday. Plus on Saturday, he's done 4.5 hours at $15. And on a Saturday, it says up here that he gets time and a half. So we're going to multiply that by 1.5. And then on Sunday, he's done 4 hours at $15. And Sunday is double time. So we're timesing that by 2. Okay, so you can put all 3 of those amounts together into your calculator. And has anyone worked it out? Perfect. So $281.25. Okay, but yeah, you can break it up if you want and work out all 3 separately and add them together, but there's really no benefit. Just use brackets so you can see where you've done your calculations, and so that when you're getting it marked in an exam, if you've made a small mistake, a question like that might be worth 2 marks or 3 marks. If you did one of those time calculations wrong, you might only lose 1 mark. Okay, so you have to show it. Okay.